Hello out there, this is askylitpichu. Today I'll be discussing, explaining my roster that I have put up recently. But before I do that, unfortunately I have some bad news. It appears that there's been a video on my channel that's been blocked worldwide, so that penalized my account. Therefore, I no longer have the capability of uploading videos longer than 15 minutes. So that means I won't be able to upload any more full albums for a long time, possibly even ever. So that's some really bad news there, but knowing me, if you know me, you know I'll find a way around all these troubles. So let's just discuss these newcomers so far that I put in my roster. Alright, so I have Bowser Jr. here. Bowser Jr. is very popular with a lot of people, showing up in a lot of people's rosters. Bowser Jr. could possibly incorporate the paintbrush into his moveset, and his down B possibly Shadow Mario. Whatever Nintendo does, just hopefully don't make Bowser Jr. a clone because a Bowser or a mini Bowser, because that would just suck. Alright, so moving on here, right next to Bowser Jr. you have King K. Rool. I know Rare owns King K. Rool, the character King K. Rool himself, but he is the main villain of the Donkey Kong series, back there in 1964 and a few GameCube. So, and the game needs more villains anyway, so why not King K. Rool? I pretty much expected King K. Rool since Melee, but that didn't happen. So why can't he be in 4? And moving on here to Zelda. Zelda gets a little tricky here. And here I did something with Zelda. You see Impa and no Sheik. Well, I replaced Sheik with Impa because Sheik is just only relevant to Ocarina of Time. You don't really see Sheik. Well, you don't see Sheik at all in any games after or prior to Ocarina of Time. So, and Impa has been in Majora's Mask. She's been in Skyward Sword. The Shikia tribe's relevant. She's a member of the Shikia tribe. So, and she's a fighter herself. And maybe a lot of people would be pissed with Sheik gone. Maybe they wouldn't, but if there's anyone that could take Sheik's place, it could be Impa. And moving on down here to Girahim. Now Girahim is the main villain from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword being really successful. So why not the main villain from the game? I mean, he can use his magic, his swords, his one sword, his two swords, his huge sword after you fight the boss, the horde. So, and maybe he could match up to Ganondorf, maybe surpass Ganondorf. So, I don't have much time here, so I'm going to be moving on. So, I got Skull Kid. Now, I put the image of Skull Kid here from Majora's Mask because there's Link and Zelda and Ganondorf and Girahim, as well as Impa, pretty much characters from now, even though Link and Zelda and Ganondorf have been around for a long time. But why shouldn't there be a retro Zelda character? Well, Skull Kid I wouldn't really consider retro because he was part of Twilight Princess, but he's more memorable throughout Majora's Mask, and maybe sticking Skull Kid into this roster would make people remember the older Zelda games, make them want to go back and play them, and just maybe fall in love with them again. And now I don't want to spend too much time here on Zelda, so I'm going to be moving on here to Medusa. Medusa, not really much to say here. She is the main villain of Kid Icarus Uprising and Kid Icarus, and the game needs, and by the game I mean Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Needs more females and more villains, and with Medusa you got both. So That's very convincing. A lot of people love Palutena, but you got both here with Medusa. Now moving on to Ridley. And Ridley, as well as Medusa, is a powerful female villain. So, and I know a lot of people say Ridley's too big. She can't fit in the game, but Nintendo has shrunk down Bowser and Charizard and brought up characters like Pichu in the past. So why can't you size down Ridley? And the game also needs more Metroid representatives because you only see Samus throughout the original N64 version, in Melee, and in Brawl. So, excuse me. So why can't there be at least Ridley? And now moving on here to Crystal. Crystal, a lot of people expected to be in Brawl, but you see Wolf here, which Wolf, I actually see the reasoning for why Crystal was not in Brawl, because Wolf is the villain, the main villain of the Star Fox series, next to Andros. But still, Crystal could fit into the game. She could be not a clone, a Falco or Fox, and just very unique. So, not really much to say about Crystal. So, I'm going to be moving on here to Pokemon. Under Pikachu, you see Ash Ketchum, not the Pokemon trainer. The reason for that, look at the Pokemon trainer in Brawl. He just looks like Ash. Has Ash's Pokemon, with the exception of Ivysaur, which is practically the evolved form of Bulbasaur. So, and I know Nintendo owns the rights to the character of Ash, so why can't you stick Ash in a Smash Bros. Game? I mean, Ash is in red and blue and yellow, so that's good enough reason in there. And I know a lot of people want a new Pokemon trainer, but if you were to at least add a new Pokemon trainer and not replace the old Pokemon trainer from Brawl, why can't you at least just change his costume up to look like Ash and change his name to Ash and just subtract Pikachu from his shoulder right there, and then you got a character. And under this character you have Zoroark, which she could be very similar to Mewtwo and Lucario, but very powerful. And if there's should be a new Unova Pokemon in the game, there's no doubt that a lot of people love Zoroark, and a lot of people notice Zoroark over like characters like Oshawott and Snively, and undoubtedly just, yeah, blah. Alright, so moving down here, I went and brought in Mewtwo into my roster. The reason for that is that a lot of people love Mewtwo, and a lot of new fans just discovering Pokemon know who Mewtwo is for the first time. And that just shows the relevance of Mewtwo throughout the whole entire series. Characters like Mewtwo and Pikachu get remembered, and they stay remembered for a long time, and people fall in love with characters like that. So, if a lot of people also have Mewtwo versus Lucario debates, so this should just end them all, because Lucario is just a steel and fighting type Pokemon with psychic abilities in Brawl. Well, minus the Aura Spear, because the Aura Spear is just his technique anyways. But why am I talking about Lucario? He's not even in this roster. Alright, I'm going to be moving on. You got Marth and Ike, Ness and Lucas. And under Lucas, you have Saki from Sin and Punishment 64. Well, Saki, here's one thing that really ticked me off. He was an assist trophy in Brawl, but he had moveset potential. He could jump, he could slash, he could shoot, he could run. Could have sworn he said something, but I don't know what he said. And a lot of people will love to play Sin and Punishment 64 and the Wii version for the first time. maybe rediscover Sin and Punishment 64. And moving on, you have Isaac from Golden Sun. Not really much to say there. Golden Sun's very successful. It's been a new one released like a year ago or so. So that's reason for Isaac in this roster. Now moving on to Little Mac from Punch-Out. Now Punch-Out was originally introduced for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, back in the day, and revamped with the Wii version of Punch-Out. Yeah, blah. And yeah, a lot of people think that Little Mac can't really do much than just punching, but there's a lot of variations of punching. There's uppercuts and jabs and knockout blows. And a knockout punch could be his final smash. And just like with Saki, he could jump and he could run, he could punch. So there you go. I'm going to skip up here to Sukapon. Sukapon, or a lot of people say Sukapon, from Joy Mech Fight. And Joy Mech Fight is basically the godfather of the fighting genre. Joy Mech Fight was there before Soul Calibur, before Tekken, before Mortal Kombat, and even before Super Smash Bros. So Sukapon's a fighter, similar to Little Mac. Sorry for stalling there, but yeah, if there's any retro character that should be in the game, it should be Sukapon. Now moving on here to Simon Belmont of Castlevania. Castlevania is very successful in the past. Not so much now, but it's very memorable. And yeah, a lot of people will love to play Castlevania. A lot of people will play Castlevania for the first time. And just imagine what the Vampire Hunter could bring to the Super Smash Bros. Table. He could bring his whip. He could bring other various means of fighting. So yeah, that's reasoning for Simon Belmont. Now moving on here to Sora. Sora from Kingdom Hearts. He could incorporate the Keyblade, and he would be a better Square Enix representative than Slime or Cloud or Geno. Just because Sora and Kingdom Hearts has been represented for the DS a couple times for Game Boy. And there will be a new one being released for the DS, well, the 3DS in the future. So if there's any Square Enix character that should be in Super Smash Bros., it should be Sora. Now moving on to Sonic. Under Sonic we have Eggman. Now Eggman, I chose Eggman because he's been chasing Sonic around, the main villain of the Sonic series, since the 90s. He's been chasing him around for over 20 years. And if there's anyone that deserves a spot in this roster, it should be the veteran to the Sonic the Hedgehog series, Dr. Robotnik. And finally, I have Mega Man. A lot of people are pissed that he was not in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So that just gives Nintendo a huge opportunity to just knock on Capcom's door and just ask for Mega Man in the game. Holy shit, this is taking forever. So I gotta end this right now. So if you like this roster, you could rate, comment, subscribe. If you don't, I have no problem with you not doing so. But if you do want me to critique your roster, if you have a roster you want critiqued, I will do that. And vice versa, if you want to critique my roster, you are glad to do that. So I gotta end this now. This is askylitpichu signing off. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.